Sigma males don't brag about how smart they are. They don't need to prove anything to anyone. But when people are around them, they can feel it. There's something sharp, something steady, something deep. That's intelligence, and it's not loud. It's quiet. It shows up in their choices, in their reactions, and in the way they speak. This quiet intelligence can make people uncomfortable. Some admire it. Others feel challenged by it. That's because Sigma males often see things others miss. They notice patterns, they spot lies, and they ask questions that make people think twice. They're not showing off, they're just thinking at a different level. While others chase approval or follow the crowd, the Sigma male stands back and watches. He doesn't jump into things blindly. He studies, he listens, and when he speaks, it matters. That alone can shake people who aren't as sure of themselves. What makes this even more powerful is that Sigma males combine brain power with emotional control. They don't just know facts, they understand people. That balance is rare, and when people can't predict or manipulate someone, it often makes them nervous. In this video, we'll look at 6 clear signs that show how the Sigma male's intelligence affects the people around him. These aren't tricks or behaviors he learns. They're part of who he is. They help him succeed, solve problems, and keep his distance from nonsense. But sometimes that intelligence doesn't win him praise, it makes him intimidating. Not because he's trying to scare anyone, but because deep thinkers often make shallow people feel small. Sign number 1, they possess deep analytical skills. Sigma males don't guess. They don't act on impulse. They think things through, and not just on the surface. They look at a situation from every angle. They ask the right questions. They break things down. That's what makes their mind so sharp. This kind of thinking shows up in everyday life. While others might rush to fix a problem, the Sigma male stops and studies it first. He wants to understand what's really going on, not just what it looks like. He knows that rushing leads to mistakes, and mistakes waste time. That's why Sigma males are often the ones who see problems coming before anyone else does. They can walk into a room, read the energy, and know who's being fake. They can look at a project and spot what's missing. They don't need a big scene to prove it. They just quietly solve it. Other people notice this skill. At work, it might make co-workers feel nervous, especially those who don't like being questioned. In social situations, people might feel uncomfortable because the Sigma male can see through small talk or lies. He doesn't call people out, but his silence often says more than words. This kind of brain power doesn't come from books alone. It comes from years of paying attention. Sigma males are natural observers. They don't speak just to speak. They listen. They gather information. And they connect the dots faster than most people. That's why they don't get fooled easily. If someone's trying to sell them a fake story or pressure them into something, the Sigma male stays calm. He looks at the facts. He watches the behavior. And when he decides, it's based on truth, not emotion. This makes him a problem solver. Whether it's in relationships, work, or life, Sigma males are usually the ones others turn to when things go wrong. Not because they're loud leaders, but because their minds are steady and focused. But this also makes people uneasy, especially people who like to be in control or people who hide behind charm. When the Sigma male starts asking deep questions or spotting flaws, those people start to feel exposed. It's not personal. The Sigma male isn't trying to attack. He's just seeing things clearly. And when people aren't used to that, it can be intimidating. Sign number 2, they exhibit emotional intelligence. Being smart isn't just about knowing facts. It's also about knowing people. Sigma males are good at both. They don't just understand how things work. They understand how emotions work too. And that's what gives them real emotional intelligence. They can tell when someone's upset, even if the person is hiding it. They can feel the mood in a room change. And they don't need a lot of words to understand what's going on beneath the surface. That awareness makes them strong in conversations, relationships, and decisions. Sigma males don't talk just to talk. They pay attention to body language, tone, and energy. They listen carefully, and they respond in a way that fits the moment. They don't react fast. They take a breath, think it through, and then speak. That kind of control stands out. They're also great at handling stress. When others are overwhelmed or emotional, the Sigma male stays calm. He knows how to give space when needed or step in quietly with support. He doesn't make it about himself. He makes it about what's right for the moment. This makes people trust him, but it also makes some people feel exposed. Those who try to fake emotions or manipulate others often get frustrated around a Sigma male. They realize they can't control him with drama, and they can't impress him with fake charm. That's because the Sigma male doesn't respond to emotional tricks. He's too aware. He can sense when someone's being real and when someone's trying to get something. That insight gives him the upper hand in most social situations. He's not cold. He's not closed off. He just knows how to manage his emotions without letting them take over. He doesn't get into pointless arguments. He doesn't yell to be heard. He keeps his cool, and that calm energy is something people feel. In relationships, this makes him a powerful partner. He listens, he understands, and he doesn't try to control. He gives space, respect, and honesty, but he expects the same in return. And when people can't offer that, they start to feel the difference in intelligence and awareness. That's what makes the Sigma male so hard to fool and so hard to forget. Sign number 3. They challenge conventional thinking. Sigma males don't follow the crowd. They think for themselves. If something doesn't make sense, they question it. If a rule feels useless, they break it. This kind of thinking often makes them stand out, but it also makes others feel uncomfortable. Most people go with the flow. They follow the same path because it's easier. But Sigma males don't want easy, they want truth. They ask questions that stop conversations. They bring up ideas that others are afraid to say out loud. They're not trying to be difficult. They're just not satisfied with shallow answers. This independent mindset often intimidates others. It can make teachers, bosses, or even friends feel challenged. Not because the Sigma male is rude, but because he sees the holes in logic. He notices what doesn't add up, and when he points it out, it forces people to think harder. That makes some people defensive. They're used to being agreed with. They're used to being in control. But the Sigma male doesn't play along. He respects truth more than power. He'll speak up if something feels wrong, even if it makes the room go silent. He doesn't argue just to argue. But if someone is pushing a weak idea, he will ask the hard questions. He'll stay calm, he'll stay focused, and he'll make his point without raising his voice. That kind of quiet pushback often shakes people who aren't used to being questioned. This trait also leads to innovation. Sigma males think differently, so they often come up with new ideas, better systems, or smarter ways to handle problems. But instead of being praised for it, they're sometimes seen as too much or too different. That's the price of thinking outside the box. It makes people nervous, especially those who are stuck inside it. Still, Sigma males don't stop. They don't need approval to keep thinking big. Their ideas aren't meant to impress. They're meant to grow, fix, or solve something real. So when a Sigma male speaks up with a new idea or a different angle, it may make people pause. But later they often realize he was right. Sign number 4. They maintain composure under pressure. Pressure brings out the truth in people. Some panic, some shut down, some lash out. But Sigma males, they stay calm. They think clearly, even when everything is falling apart. That kind of composure is rare, and it intimidates those who don't have it. Whether it's a crisis at work, an argument with a partner, or a personal setback, Sigma males don't let their emotions run the show. They take a breath. They look at the situation, and they figure out the best next move. While others are reacting, the Sigma male is already solving the problem. This calm presence makes people trust him. When things get messy, he doesn't add to the chaos. He becomes the person others want to follow, not because he's loud, but because he's steady. That kind of leadership doesn't come from training. It comes from deep inner control. Some people respect this, but others feel threatened by it, especially those who rely on emotion, drama, or power plays to stay in control. When they see someone who won't crack under pressure, it makes them question their own strength. The Sigma male doesn't brag about his calm. He doesn't tell people to relax. He just stays relaxed. And that energy spreads. In tough moments, he lowers the temperature of the room without saying a word. This is also why Sigma males are good in high-stress careers or intense environments. They don't break easily. They're used to being alone with their thoughts. They're used to handling hard things without leaning on others. But what people don't always see is how much control it takes. The Sigma male isn't cold, he just chooses not to explode. He feels the stress, but he processes it quietly. And that quiet strength builds real respect. It also builds fear in people who can't match it. When someone is falling apart and the Sigma male is still standing strong, the contrast is clear. One person is ruled by emotion, the other is ruled by reason. And in that moment, the Sigma male becomes someone you can't shake, no matter how hard things get. Sign number 5. They are self-aware and reflective. Sigma males know themselves. They know what they believe, what they need, and what they're working on. That kind of self-awareness isn't common. A lot of people go through life avoiding hard questions, but Sigma males ask them every day. They spend time alone, not because they're hiding, but because they're thinking. They review their choices. They look at what worked, what didn't, and what needs to change. They want to grow, and that means facing the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. This reflection makes them better. They learn from failure. They admit when they're wrong, and they don't pretend to be perfect. That honesty builds real confidence, not fake ego. Others notice this. It shows in how Sigma males carry themselves. They don't rush to defend every action. They don't need to prove they're right all the time. When someone gives feedback, they actually think about it. If it's true, they adjust. If it's not, they let it go. This calm, reflective mindset can make others feel uneasy, especially people who avoid self-reflection. When someone is deeply honest with themselves, it shows, and it can make those who live on the surface feel exposed. Sigma males aren't harsh about it. They don't point fingers, but their presence reminds others what real self-growth looks like. That alone can feel intimidating to someone who hasn't done the same work. Self-awareness also helps Sigma males avoid drama. They know their triggers. They know their limits, and they don't get pulled into things that don't matter. That saves time, energy, and stress, and it makes them harder to manipulate. They're also not afraid of silence. They don't need constant input or distraction. They're fine sitting with their thoughts, facing what's real, and making peace with it. That kind of emotional maturity is rare and powerful. In a world full of noise, the Sigma male's self-awareness becomes a quiet shield. He moves with purpose. He acts with clarity. And he doesn't get lost in the opinions of others. That kind of focus makes people watch. And sometimes it makes them nervous because it's clear he knows exactly who he is. Sign number 6. They communicate with purpose. Sigma males don't waste words. They don't talk just to fill silence. When they speak, there's a reason behind it. They choose their words carefully. Every sentence has weight. Every thought is clear. And that kind of communication stands out. Most people talk a lot but say very little. They go on and on about things that don't matter. Sigma males are the opposite. They skip the small talk. They avoid gossip. They go straight to what matters. That can be refreshing, but for some people it's intimidating. When a Sigma male walks into a room and stays quiet, people start wondering, what's he thinking? Why isn't he talking? That silence has power. It makes others listen more closely when he does speak. And when he finally says something, it usually hits hard. Not because it's rude, but because it's honest. Sigma males don't sugarcoat things. They don't talk in circles. They say what needs to be said, and nothing more. That kind of communication makes people pay attention. It also makes people nervous, especially those who rely on charm or talk to control a situation. When someone comes in with quiet confidence and clear words, it shifts the energy fast. Sigma males also listen more than they speak. They don't interrupt. They don't push their opinion just to feel smart. They let others talk, then respond with something meaningful. That patience builds trust and gives their words more impact. They're not afraid of silence either. If a conversation gets awkward, they don't rush to fix it. They let it sit. And that silence often forces others to face the truth of what's being said or what's not being said. This makes Sigma males strong in business, relationships, and personal life. People respect their voice, not because it's loud, but because it's real. Over time, others realize they can trust the Sigma male to be direct. If he says something, he means it. If he's quiet, it's not because he's unsure, it's because he doesn't need to speak. That kind of purposeful speaking style isn't just smart, it's powerful. It builds respect. And in some cases, it builds fear in those who aren't used to being held to that level of clarity. Sigma males don't show off their intelligence. They don't walk around trying to prove they're smart. But the way they think, speak, and carry themselves reveals a different kind of power, one that people feel even if they can't explain it. They break down problems. They stay calm in chaos. They understand emotions. They ask hard questions. They know themselves. And they communicate like every word matters. That mix creates a quiet storm of intelligence that can't be ignored. For people who are confident, this is inspiring. It makes them want to grow. It makes them want to learn more. But for people who are insecure or fake, it's threatening. The Sigma male becomes a mirror, and some don't like what they see. That's why he often walks alone, but never unnoticed. His intelligence isn't about having all the answers. It's about asking the right questions. It's about staying true to what's real, even when others want to pretend. And when others finally realize how sharp he really is, it's already too late. He's moved on. That's the power of Sigma intelligence. Quiet, focused, intimidating to some, but respected by all.